I've been hiking and backpacking for years. I usually go alone, and I've always liked it that way. It's quiet, it clears my head, and I never really worried much about danger. People always told me to watch out for animals or that it wasn't safe to go out solo, but honestly, I always felt more at ease in the woods than I did in a city. What happened to me last year changed that. I still go out, but I don't go alone anymore, and I carry protection now because of one night that could have gone very differently. It was in the fall. I won't say exactly where, but it's a popular hiking spot with long trails and some campgrounds deeper in. My plan was just a simple overnight trip. Hike out several miles, set up camp, spend the night, and hike back in the next day. I packed light but had everything I needed: tent, sleeping bag, food, water. I parked my car at the trailhead around noon and started hiking. The first part was exactly what I wanted: quiet, beautiful, and empty. I didn't see anyone for the first few miles. It was cool out, and the air had that crisp autumn smell. I remember thinking it was perfect. A couple hours in, I saw someone up ahead on the trail. That wasn't unusual, of course. What was unusual was the way he looked. He wasn't dressed like a hiker. His clothes were dirty, a faded flannel shirt and dark pants that looked stiff, almost greasy. His hair was messy, and there was just something off about the way he stood there. As I got closer, I did what I always do when I pass someone on a trail. I nodded and said, "Hey, how's it going?" He didn't answer. He just stared at me as I walked by. His expression didn't change at all. It wasn't angry, it wasn't friendly, it was just blank. No acknowledgement. Nothing. It unsettled me, but I kept going. Sometimes people are just weird, and I didn't think too much about it. At least not until I noticed the sound of footsteps behind me. At first, I thought maybe it was my imagination or an echo. But after a while, I knew. Someone was walking behind me, matching my pace. I looked back, and sure enough, it was him. The same guy. I figured maybe he was just headed the same direction. I tried to shrug it off, but as the minutes went by, I realized he wasn't just going the same way. He was following me. If I sped up, he sped up. If I slowed down, he slowed down. Always keeping the same distance, always staring. I had planned to hike another couple of miles and set up camp, but now there was no way I was going to let this guy know where I was sleeping. So I just kept walking. I told myself maybe he'd eventually turn off or stop, but he didn't. After several miles, I came to a bend in the trail where thick brush grew along the side. I decided to take the chance to slip off the trail. I crouched low and moved quickly into the trees, using the bend as cover, hoping he'd just keep walking and pass me. For a minute, it seemed to work. I crouched there, holding my breath. I heard his footsteps continue past. Relief washed over me. But then I heard a stick crack. Not on the trail, in the woods. Near me. And then something happened that made my stomach drop. A branch came flying through the bushes and landed close to me. It hadn't fallen. It had been thrown. That's when I knew he had seen me. I stood up quickly and acted like I had just been wandering off trail on purpose. I didn't want to look scared, even though I was. I walked deeper into the woods, pretending like I knew where I was going, but the footsteps followed. When I turned to look, he was there. The same man, the same blank expression, only now he was carrying a long, heavy branch in his hands. He didn't say a word, just followed. I wasn't on the trail anymore, and I had no idea where it even was at that point. I was in thick woods, moving blindly, and he was right behind me. I kept going. Every time I stopped, I'd hear him stop. Every time I started again, so did he. It went on like this for miles. The sun started to go down, and it was getting harder and harder to see. The woods were dark, and I didn't want to use my phone flashlight because I didn't want to give away my exact position. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. At one point, I couldn't take it anymore. I turned and shouted,
"Hey, stop following me. What do you want?"
My voice echoed through the trees. He didn't answer. He didn't even flinch. He just kept staring and walking. That was the moment it hit me. This wasn't just some weird guy. This was dangerous. I didn't know if he wanted to rob me, hurt me, or worse, but I knew I couldn't let him get close. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I forced myself to stay calm and keep moving forward. My pack was heavy, but dropping it felt like surrender. My mind raced with my friend's words from months earlier. You should carry protection, man. Not for bears, for people. Out there, no one can help you if something happens. I had laughed it off at the time. Now those words came back sharp and heavy. It was fully dark by then, and I was exhausted. My legs were burning, my shoulders ached from the pack, and I had scratches all over from the branches. But I forced myself to keep moving. Then, faintly, I heard something in the distance. The sound of cars. A highway. It felt like hope. I turned toward the sound and started moving faster. When the trees finally started to thin, I just ran. I didn't care about the branches cutting me or the weight of my pack. I could hear him behind me. His footsteps got faster too, but I didn't look back. I focused on the sound of the cars and the faint glow of lights ahead. Finally, I broke out of the woods and onto a roadside sidewalk. My chest was heaving, and I could barely breathe. But just then, headlights came toward me. An old pickup truck slowed down, and the driver rolled down his window. He was an older man, gray hair, worn face. He looked at me with concern and said, "You all right, son? You look troubled." I didn't think. I just said, "Please, anywhere you're going, just get me away from here." He nodded and told me to get in. I climbed in, and as we pulled away, I made the mistake of looking back. At the edge of the trees, in the glow of the highway lights, the man was standing there, just watching us drive off. I can't describe the mix of relief and terror I felt in that moment. My whole body was shaking. The driver took me to a gas station a few miles down the road. I went inside and asked the clerk to call the police. When they arrived, I explained everything. They took me back to the trailhead to check on my car. It was still there, untouched. I drove behind them to the station and filed a full report. The police said they'd keep an eye out for the guy and patrol the area more often. They told me it wasn't the first time someone had reported a suspicious individual on the trails, but they didn't know if it was the same person. I never heard anything more about it. To this day, I don't know who he was, what he wanted, or what would have happened if I hadn't heard that highway. I try not to think about it too much, but sometimes it creeps back into my mind. I still hike, but only in groups now, and I carry protection, just like my friend told me to.